Georgia and this is the sound of Georgia. It was my birthday yesterday and my present from my mother was a trip to the theatre. So let's talk about the musical where a witch curses an 11-year-old for making a sensible and rational decision about stranger danger. That of course being Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, Beauty and the Beast has been a bit of a punching bag since the internet has been a thing regarding plot holes and such. Does Belle have Stockholm Syndrome? Does everything that moves in the castle have a one-to-one human analogue? Was the Prince 11 when he was cursed? No, no, and yes. Yeah, maybe it doesn't show in my videos too much, but I am a big geek for online fan theories about movies. The good ones anyway. Really, this doesn't have anything to do with my thoughts on this particular show as a theatre experience, but I just wanted to say it because why not? So this specific version of Beauty and the Beast that's running in Sydney right now, it's the same one that started in London last year. This is not the Broadway version, it's the one from the West End. Which does not surprise me because we always get the West End stuff. And I think that show in and of itself is a new version of Beauty and the Beast, so we were quick. Normally we have to wait for 5-6 years after a show premieres on Broadway or West End before we get it down here, but since I believe the one from London, which only started last year, is a completely new version of this tale, then we were quick. And it was wonderful. I think it's probably my favourite show since I saw Six. It's not god tier, but I would put it in what I called a sharp experience when I did my ranking. The cast was headed by Shiv Sri Kandia as Belle and Brendan Xavier as the Beast, and they were perfect. I saw Shiv Sri in Cinderella last year, and I believe earlier this year she very briefly did Into the Woods as Cinderella, and she did Jasmine in Aladdin at some point in the past, so this woman is going to be the princess in Australian theatre for the next few years, I'm sure. I'm not aware of any princess musicals coming up soon, but I think she'll be doing those roles. We had an absolute great view. We were right at the front. We were off to the side, but we were right at the front, which is important because I think this is a show where you want to be as close to the stage as possible. In a theatre, objectively, the best seats are in row L or row M in the stalls right in the middle. That is objectively the best seat in the house because you are eye level with the stage and you can see absolutely everything. But I think this is a show where you want to be as close to the stage as possible because this show has some of the best effects I've seen in any musical ever. Obviously it's Beauty and the Beast, so you've got a whole lot of magical stuff going on, and between the sets and the lighting they managed to make everything look incredible. When Gaston falls to his death at the end, he isn't actually falling in any way. He's in the exact same spot he was the whole time, but he looks like he's falling. Just after that, when the Beast turns back into the Prince. Incredible. But effects-wise, the best part of this is not an effect. It's got to do with the sets/costumes, and that is Chip. If you've seen the musical, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know what magical mirror wizardry they managed to pull with this, but Chip's outfit is incredible. There is a boy's body in the middle of that, but it looks completely see-through. My mum saw Beauty and the Beast ages ago and she would always talk about how incredible it was whatever they did with Chip, but seeing it for myself was something else again. It's definitely got something to do with mirrors and reflecting paintings probably and things like that, but wow. Most of the time he's in this little tea cart, which has things placed on the shelves within it, which I think kind of helps the effect. But during the middle of Be Our Guest, they kick it up a notch, and he rolls straight across the stage on a tiny little table. He is sitting on a table with nothing underneath it. Speaking of Be Our Guest, it's obviously the showstopper. It's the big one everybody thinks of. It and the ballroom dance. But it wasn't the end to Act 1, which I think is weird. because it absolutely should have been the end to Act 1. After Be Our Guest, Belle goes for a little walk around the castle and finds the West Wing and looks at the rose, and the Beast chases her out. Then he sings his little pity song, which is new for the show, and then we get intermission. And I really do think it should have ended with Be Our Guest. I usually want to try and end Act 1 with a bang in a show. So going from the big ensemble cabaret style dance number where it's as bright as if the house lights have been left on and they release streamers from the ceiling, to another couple scenes before the curtain falls, I just don't think it really worked. Well, no, it worked, but it would have been better if it had ended with Be Our Guest. Starting Act 2 right after the end of Beauty and the Beast, instead of having the next couple scenes tacked on at the end of Act 1, I think would have been better. You wouldn't have to change anything about those scenes either. I think it also would have helped with the pacing of the show. Act 1 felt very long. I do not mean this in a bad way. It didn't feel like it was dragging at all. It just felt like we'd been there a long time. And comparatively, Act 2 felt much shorter. And they did a great job with the prologue. First of all, it's a recording of Angela Lansbury doing the narration, which, genius, R.I.P. Unlike the narration in their film, there is no mention of the rose blooming until his 21st year. It just said it would bloom for several years. But when the Beast walked across the stage and around to look at the rose, I definitely got a sense of him growing up. So despite that one line change, it does not debunk my belief that he was 11. I actually honestly can't think of any other way it would work. You can't have it prevent him from aging sort of thing, and there still being 10 years in the middle to wait to break the curse. On stage like this it can kind of work, but anytime you mention 21st year, doesn't work. He was 11 when he was cursed and you cannot change my mind. And even with 21 not being mentioned, it still looked like he was growing up. He still looked a lot younger at the beginning than he did at the end. There were less new for the musical songs than I thought there would be. I don't know if this is different in the Broadway production, whether it has any more or not, but there were only a few completely new songs. They just padded the runtime of the show by making all the songs double the length. The sets were all incredible. The way they kind of shifted between scenes depending on what was happening was really cool. And the characters were walking through the forest. They had to do a bit of animation stuff, like projected onto a screen in front of it. That stuff did feel kind of goofy, especially when you compare it to stuff like Gaston's death or the Beast turning back into the prince. But it still really worked. So, would I recommend this one? Heck yes. I seriously think I'm going to try and see it again. Beauty and the Beast is a show you should absolutely see. And definitely try to get a seat as close to the stage as possible, and keep your eye on Chip every time he's on stage. Because even if you know how it's done, it's mirrors, but even if you know how it's done, you don't know how it's done. Aussies see it for our amazing cast and just everything, but anybody watching, go see Beauty and the Beast for Chip alone. That's all I've got for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my video next time. So long, bye!